You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Yes, y'all. It is time once again for another ResultsLeader.fm. So stoked that you're here. And I want to ask you a question. How would you like to identify your differential advantage and separate yourself from the pack to grow revenue and sales? Would that be interesting to you? Of course it would. And that is exactly why I invited Mr. Joe Matz to the show today. He is a cool guy, a generous guy, a humble guy, and I know you're going to dig this interview, so let's jump in. Joe, welcome to the show. Are you ready to rock this thing?
I am ready, Jonathan. Thank you for having me on.
Let's do it, man. So what book have you given most as a gift?
The book I've given most is an old classic, The 1 Minute Manager by Kenneth Blanchard and Spencer Johnson. And I just found it to be a quick read, very simple concepts that you can implement immediately.
It's time to tell us a story of how apparent failure set you up for later success.
So this apparent failure seemed to be a real failure at the time. And I was living in Brazil, running conventions and seminars, and I business was booming. Business was going really good. And I rented a convention center for 3 days. Total price was going to be $26,000 for the 3 days. And I had to put a down payment down of 13 grand. Put that down payment down. My guys were all set up. 3 weeks beforehand, I had one of my clients back out, and they were 60% of the business, 60% of the people who were going to be going there. And it became a loss either way. It didn't make sense to put another 13,000 down. So I said goodbye to the 13,000 I had put down. And I started working with the 40% of businesses that were smaller businesses, but really paying attention to that. And I learned in that lesson, I learned the concentration of clients. You never want to be at 60%. You probably never want to be at 20%. Too much risk. So I formed closer relationships with those smaller businesses and turned things around after quite a little while, but turned things around. Yeah. So business boomed again.
So there are some people, and I've met them, where they do allow their business to hinge on one major account. What advice would you give those guys?
I would say that's risky. And a colleague of mine says if you've got a client that's larger than 40% of your business, you're more of a contractor to that client than an owner of your own business. Because if you lose that client, you could lose your entire business. And in fact, business brokers will look at the concentration of clients, and they don't look at that favorably when you have a whole lot of business based on one client, because the risk factor is higher.
What would you say is the most worthwhile investment that you have ever made?
Well, I went through what my wife would call a midlife crisis not long ago. And I wasn't happy as I had been with what I was doing. And so I took some months off and I hired a coach. I looked around and, oh my gosh, so much research. And I hired a coach who was going to help me get back on track, or back on a new track, I would have to say. It was expensive at the time, but I needed someone to look from the outside and help me get to my new place and my new direction.
Now, how did you go about finding that coach and doing the due diligence to know that was the right person for you?
I did a lot of due diligence on a number of coaches, and I looked at his material. I looked at his social proof, let's say. I downloaded a couple of free PDFs. I was able to find some things on YouTube that he had done, and it just resonated with me. So it felt good.
What was it that resonated with you? What I'm trying to get at here is, how did you make that buying decision, to kind of give our listeners an idea of how those decisions are made?
More than anyone else, of course, I did. We say we use logic to justify our emotional decisions.
Yeah, right.
And so I went with the logic first, doing all of the research and all. But this fellow just felt right. It just felt right. I felt his orientation was good. He's He's a little bit spiritual. He had been a business owner. He's a little bit wacky, very creative, and it just felt right, Jonathan. I think he just felt right.
In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
The belief that I can express myself, that I may often have a different perspective, but that has value, and that I can find the people with whom that will resonate. And everyone else, they can be friends. We can be friends. But my tribe are people who maybe understand a little bit my wackiness and my experience and out of the box thinking. And that's okay. See, I didn't think that was okay before. I wanted to please everybody. And you know what happens there? When you try and please everybody, you're really pleasing no one.
Everybody hates you when you do that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah.
I'm putting it. I'm getting a little extreme here, but I want to ask you. So you hired that coach, and is he the one that helped you figure out that piece that you can express yourself, you can be unique, you can bring your own voice, or was this something that was already simmering and cooking before then?
It was simmering before. He brought it to a boil, and that's what I needed at that time. He's a very expressive person. He's very unique. And he's helped people develop what he calls a signature program. So it's bringing all of that knowledge and experience of me living on 3 continents, having over 10 businesses, speaking 3 languages, all of that stuff together. And it was like, where do we go with all of that stuff? And in Italian, you would call it's a minestrone. It's a minestrone soup where you just throw everything in there and it works out okay. And I didn't know how to do that. I needed some help.
So I want to point this out to our listeners because this is super important before we move on. If you're listening to Joe's story, when I asked him about his best investment, he talked about the coach. Then he talked about the coach's personality. And then what he said was he hired him because they had some similarities. I don't know if you said it in that many words, but the zaniness, the difference, the experience, and the coach helped bring that out in you. And so for all of us out there who are trying to hide behind the corporate cover or not share our personalities and who we are, Joe just told you how he makes buying decisions. I look for people like me. And we all do that. We all do that. And that's why I'm pointing that out. So let's talk about bad recommendations. What are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
One of the bad recommendations I hear is that one size fits all. I've got a solution. I've got a hammer, and you've got a problem. My hammer's going to fix that problem. It's the classic, right? Not every problem needs a hammer. And I see a lot of people promising immediate results. 10 days to build your list to 10,000 people. It's 30 days to get your first high-paying client from zero, from nothing. 30 days, you can do that. And things take time, and I really think if they have a solution like that, hey, that's great. I haven't seen one that is working to that effect. It's laying the groundwork in 10 or 30 days. But some of my clients have come from programs like that. And if you get back what they call the impossible triangle, and you can have it fast, you can have it good, or you can have it cheap, but you can only pick 2 of those. So if you want it fast and cheap, it's not going to be so good. If you want it good and cheap, it's not going to be so fast. You can shortcut your 10,000 names on a list in 1 month from 0 to 10,000. You can shortcut that if you're willing to invest the money. There are ways to do that. You've got to invest the money. If you're going to do it organically, it's going to take time. It might even be better because you get some real good contacts on your list as opposed to just broadcasting to anybody who signs up, And you've been in business long enough. You understand that. Yeah.
Now, people we live in a society that has Netflix, microwaves. They have instant entertainment by flicking their finger on their phone. And so is there room for that instant hit, or is everything a matter of time?
I think there is room for the instant hit. It depends on what you've got going already. So you can do that. And there are fast track programs. You've got to put in the time. And the fast track program might involve yourself, 8 or 10 hours a day for 2 or 3 weeks, and you can get things done. A lot of people have jobs and businesses. They can't do that. A lot of my clients, we get through a lot of stuff quickly And it's not a rare situation where we have to postpone things because they run out of time. Life gets in the way.
All right, we're about to get into the results portion of the show, but before we do that, I gotta ask you, have you shared the show? If you're digging what I'm laying down here, then I want to ask you to share this show with somebody who will find it helpful. Share it on your social medias. Use the hashtag ResultsLeaderFM, and I'll be looking for you out there. Thank you. Now, the name of the show is Results Leader, and I'm going to ask you the most important question of the day. Why do results matter?
Results are everywhere, and they matter because they're a natural outcome of any action you take or even inaction. So results are important because there's the natural feedback loop. If you choose to go left at the crossroads or go right or go straight, there will be certain results. The sooner you see those results and quantify those results, put them through your left brain and your right brain and make decisions based on those results. When your objective's clear and you have a path in front of you that you know where you're traveling to, the results are even more important because you can measure them against your objective. Are you moving towards your objective, or is this moving you further away from your objective? And it's a lot easier to make those micro adjustments in the beginning, whereas you don't have to wait a quarter or a whole year to make the adjustment. Look at the results, realize the results you're getting, and make the minor adjustments because it's easier to do in the beginning.
Now, I heard you say objective, and this is an interesting thought exercise that I want to run by you. And maybe you have an answer for this, maybe not. But either way, how do you know you have the right objective?
Yeah, sometimes, it was Stephen Covey who said you're climbing to the top of the tree, but you're in the wrong forest. So how do you know you have the right objective? You've got to get rid of the scripts that you're following, the scripts from other people, and be true to yourself. And sometimes that takes some digging because we follow scripts for so long. It's the old, the classic, the woman who becomes a doctor because her parents wanted her to become a doctor ever since she was young. They're talking about being a doctor, and she followed that path and gets into it and realizes what she really wants to do is be a massage therapist and not be a doctor or open up a shop. You've got to get rid of those scripts. You've got to figure out who you really are, what you really want, what makes you happy. Sometimes that does take some time. Isn't that what the midlife crisis is about?
It sounds like he's speaking from experience, ladies and gentlemen.
Unfortunately, yes, I am.
All right. In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients?
I found that if you put people, service, and contribution first, the profits will come and your business will grow. Because when you care about people and you put them first, you'll be a better listener. And when you put service first, you'll build better connections and you'll be able to help more people. And when you put the contribution and impact that you make ahead of your profits, you'll make more contribution, your impact will grow, and your business will grow. And you'll be able to make more profits, have more resources to then make even more contribution. So I think that's the thing. I had focused on profits. I'd focused on money for many years. Focusing on people and making an impact and better connections has changed my life around.
Yeah, I like to think of it in terms of do more, have more, be more, and give more. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling circle because you have to give in order to get, and you have to be a better person in order to make a greater impact. So you just keep growing. It's a constant cycle of growth. So what area of your business would you like better results?
I would like to reach more people at whatever level they're at. So right now, I currently offer one-to-one coaching at a premium price. And I'm working on ways to work on a one-to-many model in group settings, and also an online course that you can do at your own pace, where the price will be much more affordable for folks who can't afford the one-on-one, or the one-on-one coaching is not right for them at this time.
What results are you most proud of, Joe?
What makes me the most proud when I think about all that I've done, right? It's the language school that I founded in Italy. I taught over 2,000 children, well, me and the team. And it was a unique time. As you know, I didn't have an office or a school. It was an odd business in the early 2000s. And I ended up hiring teachers, but I took on the responsibility of the middle school. And I taught every student in that middle school from the grades of 6, 7, and 8 for 2 years in that town. And the first thing I taught them was how to say hello, how to greet someone, how to introduce your parents. And I would see these kids on the street and they would come up to me and they'd say, Professor Matz, hello, these are my parents. And it was hilarious. But the look on their face, how proud they were that they could have this little conversation in English, and the surprised look on the faces of their parents was just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Incredible, man. So any parting thoughts for the results leaders who are listening to us right now?
I'd say to get the best results and the most meaningful results, be the best that you can be. And that sounds cliche, right? No one else is better at being you than you. Realize that you alone are uniquely suited to contribute in a way that only you can. And focus on the contribution, focus where you can make the most impact. And then your circle of influence will grow and your ability to contribute will increase and you'll have everything that you want in life.
Wow. I love it. Where can our listeners get more from you?
So the best thing to do is to go to my website, and that is apexable.com. And that's apx-able.com, as in your business and your life can reach the apex.
Dig it. We will have links in the show notes, of course, back to your website, LinkedIn. All of those goodies will be in there. We've been speaking to Mr. Joe Matz. Thank you for being with us, and thank you, results leaders, for tuning in. We'll be back in your earbuds next time. That is a wrap for another edition of resultsleader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to resultsleader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next one.
This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.